Hello and welcome back to English 11. Some of you angels were lucky enough to have me last year and this year. I'm glad to see you back. This is a quick tutorial reviewing some of the highlights in the course syllabus that I passed out to you, talking about some of the things we're going to be covering this year and also our classroom policies and procedures. So if you guys follow along, on the course syllabus that I gave you, this PowerPoint kind of highlights some of the important points that are on there. But you're responsible for making sure you guys read through all of it, and if you have any questions, you ask me so we're all on the same page. So the first section on your course syllabus talks about the course description. This is what we're going to be covering this year. So last year you had some units like the Power of One and the American Dream. This year we're studying units like that, but we're also doing what's called transformational thinking about the pieces of literature we're reading, as well as about the world around us. So your theme for the whole year is based around what's called transformational thinking, which means learning as much as you can about a topic to maybe change what you once thought about it or to build on the knowledge you already have about it. So the 4 units that we kind of are covering this year, it's like 1 unit per marking period. They are all British literature. So I know you guys are super excited to start some Brit Lit. And we start right at the beginning. The first marking period covers the Anglo-Saxons. This is the first literature basically ever recorded was Anglo-Saxon literature as far as British literature goes. And the main piece that we read for that section is called Beowulf. It is literally like a story about a monster and a hero and stuff like that. Also, first marking period, you'll be doing a few smaller writing assignments, some poetry built into the unit. Second marking period is our medieval unit. This is more like the knights and King Arthur and that type of thing. We read the Canterbury Tales in that unit, and you guys do. It's called, I wrote an iMovie on here, but really it's a digital storytelling project. This is one that most the juniors like. They get really excited. You make up a story and you like create a digital version of it and then present that as your project. Our next unit is the start of third marking period, I want to say, and it's the Elizabethan time period, the Renaissance. Yes, folks, this is your Shakespeare section. For our Shakespeare section this year, we are reading Macbeth. Macbeth, I think a lot of students have more interest in it. If maybe Romeo and Juliet was too much of a love story for you or something, you might like Macbeth. It has a lot of drama, battle scenes, a crazy king, things like that. So a lot of people find it interesting. In that section, we start your research papers, which kind of then lead into, we have a small unit on rhetoric again. Remember rhetoric from last year when you guys did your speeches on that? You don't have a speech on rhetoric this year, but rhetoric is on your SAT tests. And so we want to cover it. And so we kind of review it, we read some more articles, do a small section on rhetoric, which kind of bridges the Elizabethan time period and into the Romantic Restoration time period. Because if you look at that Romantic Restoration time period, it says we talk about technology, uses and abuses. That's kind of what your rhetoric is built around, modern technology uses and abuses. That's the section where we read Frankenstein, by the way, or a section of Frankenstein, I should say. We don't read the whole novel anymore, kind of because of time and your SAT tests. Also in that Romantic Restoration time period, we do Dead Poets Society, the movie Dead Poets Society, the Dead Poets unit. Most people like that unit. It's built around the movie with Robin Williams in it, so that's pretty interesting. And then finally, fourth marking period, you move into the modern Brit Lit era, which is Lord of the Flies. A lot of students like that book. It's based around the concept of evil and are we born evil or do we learn it? Is it brought on by society? Things like that. And so throughout every one of those units, because it's British literature, there is a lot of poetry kind of spread throughout that. And you have some essays. We'll be doing, I said ACT on here, but ACT, SAT testing skills, getting ready for that for this year so you feel confident and ready to take that test. So that's pretty much what this year is made up of. So next, the methodology is kind of like what you guys will be doing in class, how classes run. And we have quizzes, sometimes announced quizzes, sometimes pop quizzes, especially for reading assignments, so you want to stay on track with your reading. We'll have tests, but not too many tests. We usually do a test or two per marking period, but when we do have a test, it's a unit test, so they're longer and a little more detailed. You've got to make sure you're prepped well for them. We have daily work. These are your 5, 10-point assignments. The thing about those is because we don't have so many tests, your daily work isn't just practice or remediation. It's really measuring some of our Common Core standards that you guys have to show that you understand in order to get out of English 11. And so because of that, I give you rubrics for what I'm looking for in that daily work and how to complete it, because losing just a point or two on some of those daily assignments all of the time will cause your grade to start dropping a little bit. So if you're shooting for that A or that B, you want to make sure you're putting in 100% effort in that daily work, because like I said, that's really measuring your assessments almost as much as your tests are. And then, of course, we'll have projects each semester, some papers each semester. Some of these things will count towards your semester exam grade, and some are just marking period grades, but we'll make sure you're all clear on what's what as we go throughout the year. SSR will be on Fridays again this year. I have a separate handout that details what SSR is. It stands for Sustained Silent Reading, and we have it every Friday. Sometimes I will give you guys news articles this year, like we might do Newsella or Smithsonian articles or something like that. Articles that are interesting, relevant, but also help kind of prep you for the SAT as well. But most of the time, you guys get to bring in what you want for SSR. So any novel of your choosing, or any magazine article. If you are interested in a specific magazine, you can bring in magazines for SSR. Just make sure you come prepared. That's every Friday. And like I said, we'll be talking about that more. I have a separate handout just for that. Finally, any technology issues, because we have a lot of computer work and things like that, any technology issues have to be addressed immediately with me. You know, your projects, your papers, I usually give you a few weeks to work on those. And so if you come to me the day something's due and tell me, oh, my printer ran out of ink, or oh, I couldn't do this because I couldn't get to that, it's going to be a late grade or a 0, because I give you enough time to make sure that we allot for any technological issues that might come up in any of these assignments or projects you have to do. And no late work, of course. Unless there's a medical or family emergency, we will always take that into consideration. Next, you have an evaluation section on your course syllabus. Again, it says all assessments evaluate Common Core standards. Failure to complete an assignment may dramatically affect your grade, even if it's a low point value. I literally just spoke to this under methodology, saying that even though it's a small assignment, losing a point or two here or there could hurt your grade. You will have a rubric and expectation, so you'll know how to get full credit. It's usually just a little more effort or showing a few more examples in your responses, things like that. Okay, so even if it's not a large test, which you want to study for, you still want to make sure you're putting in good effort into your daily things. Included in your grade in some marking periods are SRP points. SRP points stand for Student Responsibility Points. These are like your daily grades. Basically, you earn them or lose them, as I listed here in the 2 columns. So it's important to understand that this is an extra credit. This is literally a grade. If, say, we have 20 points in a marking period and you earn only 10 out of 20 points, that's not 10 extra credit points. You literally got a 10 out of 20 on your SRP grade, which is 50%. So let's talk about how to earn these SRPs and keep them. First, it says you're participating, like if we're doing a discussion on what we read, or we're reading out loud, or we're working in group work. You are participating and you're on task. You're not talking about Friday night's game. You're not, two people aren't doing the work and you're just talking to your friends. You have to be on task, engaged in what we're supposed to be doing in the classroom. You have to come prepared, which means with something to write with, your book, your agenda, etc. We talk more about that in one of the rules, the classroom rules that are coming up. And then of course you have to follow our general Kingsford High School rules and our classroom rules, which like I said, we'll talk about in a second. You lose SRPs. Okay, so say we start with 20 for the marking period. You start to lose them if you're not participating in class, you're not participating or on task with your group work, you forget your assignment, you're not turning your assignments in on time, you don't have something to write with, you have to go back to your locker to get your books. Things like that would cost you to lose SRPs. Disregarding our classroom rules or school policies, like you bring your phone into the classroom, that would cause you to lose SRPs. So you want to earn them to maximize your points in that area. All right, our classroom rules are fairly short and simple. The first one says you're responsible for work, whether you're absent or present, of course. Check Power School, check with a friend, but check with me just to make sure. My pet peeve that I highlighted, bolded, asterisk on that course syllabus for you says, do not ask me what you missed at the beginning of class. Save it for at the end of the hour or before school or after school. If 5 or 6 of you are gone from class and you all come up at different times, we'll never get class going. So save that for the end. We usually have 5 minutes of class at the end where you can take care of that business. Every day you're absent, you get 1 day for makeup work. It's important to get that work picked up right when you get back, because if I collect that homework assignment I gave when you were gone a week after it was due, and you say, well, I was gone that day, I didn't know about it, that is your responsibility, and you would get a 0 for not getting your work in time. And then, of course, all our KHS rules like tardies, no food or drink in the classroom except water bottles will be enforced. Our classroom rules say, make sure you come with something to write with, your folder with all your papers in it, your agenda, the textbook we're reading. This is an important point. You are responsible for keeping all papers passed back to you throughout the year. If I grade it and pass it back to you, you need to hang on to it in your folder because you may need it later on in the year. Do not be rude or disrespectful to others in this classroom or in the hallways or anywhere in the Kingsford building. No plagiarism will be tolerated, and we will discuss plagiarism as it comes up so you are clear on what we mean by plagiarism, because it will be reported and you will fail due to plagiarizing. No devices in the classroom. This means no cell phones in the classroom. It will cause you loss of SRPs, and I will take it and turn it into the office, and then they deal with it from there. All right, so as I said, you guys make sure you read through all the fine details that are on that course syllabus, because this just highlighted some of the important points. Then what you want to do is sign it, get your parents to sign it, make sure if you have any questions about any of the rules or expectations that you ask me about them, and then you turn that signature slip in, just detach the signature slip, turn it into me with one of the school supply items that are listed on that back page. You turn a school supply item in with this signature sheet, and that is your first 6-point assignment grade in Power School. You have to get that all in, what says by Friday of this week, but we don't have school on Friday, so you need to make sure you get it in by Thursday of this week. Thanks. That's about it for now. Let's have a great year.